There's really three ways to charge for web design, but one of them really isn't worth the effort anymore. And so I'm going to talk to you about what I consider to be like two ways up when it comes to pricing and lead generation and finding clients. So I'm Lee Blue and the founder of DoubleStack, and love to talk about lead generation for web development and pricing and all that stuff. So if you want to stay kind of up to date on what's going on, then go ahead and like the video and subscribe to the channel and all that stuff so that you don't miss out on any other tips about how to get started and increasing your pricing and just being more effective both for yourself and for your clients in the world of web design. Now, there's three ways that if you ask me, I don't really know of any other ways other than these three ways. Now, of course, as you break it down into smaller components, there's definitely subcategories of all of this, but kind of at the root level, it seems like there's three ways to charge for web design. And the first one is access to your skills. And this is where almost all web designers start out, and the majority of web designers kind of end up. And this is kind of what you see like on Upwork and when you get clients through Bark, and just like having a website that displays your skill set almost like it's just a technical buffet. And it's the easiest one to do, right? Because like you begin to figure out how to do a bunch of stuff, and then you begin to build a resume for yourself, and then you begin to position yourself based on that resume as someone who knows how to deliver the skills. The problem with it, though, is especially today, there's so much competition out there. And so when you position yourself as allowing your clients to get access to skills, the skills that you have all of this competition out there. And because of that, there's very little differentiation between what it means to work with you versus working with someone else. And then therefore the profit margin is too small. Like there's no, everybody kind of gets stuck in the loop of, well, I'm not getting clients. Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to figure out what everybody else is doing. And then I'm going to offer a little bit more for a little bit less, something like that. And then the next person does the same thing, and the next person, and so on, until you've offered so much more for so much less that there's no profit left in really doing it anymore. And that's the exhausting approach. And a lot of people are really stuck in that area trying to figure out, well, how do I get my prices back up to where I need them to be to make a decent living doing web design and online marketing? And the truth is you really can't do it if you do that kind of positioning, because there's so many other alternatives. But there's two other ways that you can charge a lot more, and both of them have to do with getting better results for the clients. So everyone really wins when you make this shift. It's not just raising your prices for the sake of raising your prices. It's not demanding more money because you feel like you're worth it. It's a genuinely mutual exchange where the clients get better results and you get paid better in the process. And there's two ways to do it. One way is instead of kind of positioning your business as allowing your clients to get access to your skills, you can position your business to get access to you as a person. This is kind of like, let me think of an example. If you were, okay, here's one. I know a bunch of musicians that do cover songs for, like famous artists and stuff. And the cover songs, especially to me, like I think a lot of times the cover songs sound better than the actual artist that sings, the original artist that sings the song. Like, for example, I can even just think off the top of my head, like there's people out there that will like play beach music and stuff, like at the boardwalk at Virginia Beach or something like that. And you go down there and you can listen to the music and it's like really good and maybe even technically better. Like say somebody sings like a Jimmy Buffett song. Well, Jimmy Buffett is known for not really being that great of a vocalist. I mean, he's not bad, but he's not like a high caliber, always hits the right note, big range kind of vocalist. It's not too difficult to imagine a scenario where you could sing a song better than Jimmy Buffett. But here's the thing. These bands are basically like playing for tips, a couple $100 a night. Whereas Jimmy Buffett makes like $500,000 to show up for one concert. So what's the difference? It's not that the song is technically better, that Jimmy Buffett doesn't technically produce better quality music necessarily. In fact, sometimes the cover artists, I think, actually make the songs sound better. So it's not the skill set. It's the person. People want to hear Jimmy Buffett sing the song, right? Or like if it's Taylor Swift, people want to hear Taylor Swift sing the song. They don't want to hear me sing Taylor Swift's song. Even if I sang it better, they want to hear Taylor Swift do it. They want to hear Jimmy Buffett do it. So it's the person. It's that kind of celebrity status, like within your niche, that really matters. And so they think, well, how do I get the celebrity status in my niche so that I can charge more for that. Like, so people want to work with me as a person rather than just to get access to my skills. And it's hard. It's hard to do that. You basically have to become kind of famous in your, at least within your niche, which means you're going to be doing a lot of writing. You're going to be doing a lot of speaking. You're going to be doing presentations, maybe some traveling. It's hard to do that, and it takes kind of a long time, but it is one way to do more. Like, you could write a book, right? You could do those kinds of things that kind of put you out there as kind of an authority on the topic. And then people say, oh, well, you're the go-to guy in this space. Look, they even wrote the book about it. And then you can charge more because you've kind of got that heightened authority specialist status as a person. So that's one way. It takes a long time, a lot of writing, a lot of traveling, a lot of speaking, a lot of work is involved. And really the biggest downside, in my opinion, with that approach is it tends to take a while. Like, you can't just do something like that in a couple of weeks. It tends to take a long time. So the other option would be, instead of doubling down on your celebrity status, is to create a system or a product that people want to buy into. So rather than just kind of getting the raw skill set going, you're providing access to a more comprehensive product. Another analogy to kind of think of is, in the beginning, you're kind of running a grocery store. Like, you have this kind of buffet of all your services. So like, kind of category one with access to your skills is kind of like the grocery store level. And you don't really want to be the grocery store. You either want to be the gourmet chef or the apple pie or whatever, right? It's like, you want to either be the chef that uses the stuff out of the grocery store, but the chef that can produce much better stuff. And like, oh yeah, if you want a great meal, you got to hire that chef. Or you take the stuff that's in the grocery store, assemble it together into some kind of value-added way, and then sell the value-added product, like the meal, like the apple pie, whatever it might be. And it's that third one. It's like the apple pie idea. It's the combination of skills and services into some kind of system, or almost like a product, that I think is the best approach for web design today, because it doesn't take that long. I mean, it takes a little bit. You have to do some digging to kind of figure out, what's the system going to be, who is it for, how does it work, what are the pain points that you're solving. So there's some research and some digging going on, and it might take you a couple of weeks, but it doesn't take years like it does to like write a book and do a speaking tour, to launch a podcast and to develop a huge social media following. Like, all that stuff is really time consuming. Both in terms of your day-to-day activity and just the longevity of how long you have to keep that stuff going before it works. Whereas if you do this product idea, it's much, much faster. Like, you can do it in just a couple of weeks as opposed to months or years. And the idea behind it is, you go through and figure out, how can I position my business so that people are buying into a result for themselves? Right? So it's not just, hey, we're a full service web design agency. It's like, here's how to 10x the test drives at your auto dealership, kind of a thing. Or some kind of a main result that people can get out of it. And that's really what DoubleStack is all about. It's the two components of that offer. It's like the tech stack, like what skills and tools are you going to use, but it's also the marketing stack. Like, how are you going to do it in the context of your client? And then when you do those two things, I think you're going to find that you can charge way more, because you're driving real measurable results for the clients. And when you're driving results at that level, it's only natural to think that it's worth more, because it literally is. It's like you're creating measurable business outcomes for people. And because of that, the value of what you're offering is dramatically higher than if you're just handing a website and then walking away. And then it's so much higher that you can probably safely say that you could triple your rates by doing it. And I even say that all the time. I say, like, here's how web designers can triple their rates, and here's what you do. And really, the whole key component to tripling your rates as a web designer in this kind of product or systemized approach is to develop this kind of ongoing partnership style relationship with your client, where you work with them basically forever, for as long as they need leads. And you do two things. You do the setup, which is going to be somewhere in like the $3,000 to $5,000-ish kind of on average, that kind of price range. And then on the backside, like after you kind of launch everything, you have a marketing retainer. Like, well, it's usually more than that. It's usually like hosting, maintenance, plus at least a basic marketing package of some sort. Even if it's just a couple hours a week of your time to do the work, because maybe you charge a little less than $1,000, but $800, $900, somewhere in that range. Well, that retainer is going to be over $10,000 a year, which takes your $5,000 project and turns it into a $15,000 client, which literally triples the value of your work. But it also puts you in a position to be able to drive much better results for your clients because you're there every week to do it, right? As opposed to not being there and just having it kind of rot on the vine. So better for the clients, better for you. Doesn't really take that long, but it does take some research and some thinking things through to figure out exactly what that package really looks like. And essentially that's the whole point of DoubleStack. It's like if you feel like this is the direction you want to go, you want some help kind of creating the idea together, then hop on my calendar. Let's see if it's going to be a good fit for you before you jump in. And if it turns out that it looks like the direction you want to go, we'll work on it together. And that's the main thing. Like DoubleStack is vastly different from everything else that I know about because I only work with like maybe, 15, 20 people at a time because I want to be there with you to make sure all this comes to life. Like I want you to have someone to say, hey, I'm thinking about these ideas. What do you think? Or, hey, can you look at my website with me and figure out how to rewrite some of the copy? Or, hey, I'm about to send an email to a client. Can I send it to you first and so we can kind of work on that together and then I'll send it to the client? Like that's the level of help and support that DoubleStack really is able to provide for you, that I'm able to provide through that program with you. And we work on it for like 3 months together. So if that's the kind of thing that you're looking for, and I know not everybody does, like some people just want to build the websites, they like the design and they want other people to do the marketing, and that's totally fine. But if you want to have that kind of partnership relationship with your client, and you're wondering, how do I attract leads for that so that I don't have to just keep shrinking the profit margin and stuff like you do through Upwork or Fiverr or through like the Bark kind of leads and stuff like that. Let's get on the phone and talk about it and see which one of these 3 approaches you want to do. Do you want to do the skills approach? Do you want to do like the access to you approach or this kind of product or system approach? And then we'll kind of put a path and track for you. Now, I'll tell you right now that if it's just the skills approach, you probably don't need DoubleStack or my help to do it. That's just that kind of the default way. But those other 2 ideas about how do you get the product and system going, and usually what will happen is the natural outcome of doing that also puts you into category number 2 as well, which is sort of that semi-celebrity status in your niche. And then you've kind of got 2 engines running for you to really drive these kind of results. All right, cool. So if this sounds like the kind of direction you want to go, head on over to doublestack.net/call. Doublestack.net/call, CALL. And my calendar will pop up. Find a time that's going to work for you. I'll call you or we'll meet on Zoom at the time that you select. And we'll kind of go through this together and find out, what kind of package would look good for the types of clients you're working with. That really is a combination of your skill sets and specialties and interest. And, we want to figure out what is the stuff that you do the best and then package that up because that's the stuff you're going to feel the most confident with. It's the stuff that's going to be the most exciting to you. It's the stuff that's going to drive the best results because it's the stuff that you're the best at, which means you can charge the most for it. And it's much better to go in that direction than to try to have the client kind of a la carte pick the skills and services just kind of off the shelf that they want. So cool. So if this is sounding good to you, hop on over to doublestack.net/call. Pick a time for us to talk. I'll get on Zoom and we'll meet at that time. And if not, just go ahead and just like the video, leave a comment. Let's keep the conversation going. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss on any of these other marketing tips for web design. And we can just kind of keep it rolling that way too. All right. Well, doublestack.net/call. I'll see you soon.